I don't know if it was so much Conor surprised me how well he bolts because of the way Chris Eubank must have been feeling, because he was, he looked terrible on the scales, absolutely terrible.
He's outmanned Conor in the last 2 rounds, out-experienced him.
Billy Nelson didn't hold back in his post-fight assessment of Conor Benn, delivering a harsh critique that flipped the narrative on its head. While Nelson admitted Benn surprised him with a stronger performance than expected, he was quick to slam Chris Eubank Jr.'s physical appearance at the weigh-in, calling it a visual disaster. But despite Eubank looking completely drained and visibly weakened, Nelson pointed out that Benn failed to capitalize. The takeaway? This wasn't about Eubank's condition. It was a sharp
I was proud of him. Very, very close fight. Very, very close fight. Not going to go on about the decision. It could have gone either way. Chris done better in the later rounds, which I was very impressed with.
Reflection on Benn's inability to finish a compromised opponent. Nelson went as far as to question whether Benn truly belongs at this level. His comments echoed the deeper reality many saw in the ring. Benn lacked the discipline and polish required at the elite tier, and perhaps the most sobering reaction came not from the critics, but from Conor's own father, Nigel Benn. Rather than defend his son or offer excuses, Nigel simply acknowledged Eubank's dominance, especially in the championship rounds.
I don't think Conor performed to his best of his ability. Was winging a lot of shots and not knocking.
That quiet acceptance said more than any outburst ever could. There were no protests or desperate attempts to spin the narrative. Just a father realizing that his son wasn't good enough on the night. Nigel's reaction didn't stop there. He openly criticized Conor's performance, calling out his wild, reckless swings as ineffective and disorganized. There was no strategy, no composure, only chaos under pressure. In contrast, Chris Eubank Jr. remained calm, collected.
I felt like the last 2 rounds was what really probably won it for Chris, is that he outmanned Conor in the last 2 rounds, out-experienced him.
And clinical. He exposed every flaw in Benn's game plan. Nigel's honesty was cutting but clear. Conor was unprepared for the moment. Tony Sims echoed this brutal reality, calling Conor's performance a complete disgrace. According to Sims, the fight's final 2 rounds weren't just a turning point, they were pure domination. While Benn disappeared, Eubank thrived. Sims praised Eubank's ring IQ, experience, and composure, all of which became clear as he took over late in the fight. Sims left no room for debate.
So Conor Benn was never going to beat him. The fight wasn't close for me. I made Eubank win by at least 3 rounds, maybe 4. And, they're not crying about it, neither of them, mind you, because, I think Eubank was on 10 million guaranteed, Conor Benn's on 7 million guaranteed. That's ridiculous money. And I'm not going to say it was a ridiculous fight. It wasn't a ridiculous fight. It was an entertaining.
Eubank was simply operating on another level. Former world champion Duke McKenzie also weighed in, declaring that Eubank was always going to win. He confidently scored the fight in Eubank's favor by at least 3 or 4 rounds and dismissed the idea that it was ever close. While acknowledging the massive paydays, $10 million for Eubank and $7 million for Benn, McKenzie emphasized that this was more than a money fight. It was about legacy and domination. Even Ben Whitaker joined the praise, highlighting Eubank's heart and focus, calling the bout a legendary clash.
What a great match that would be. They have a similar physicality, and it was just so exciting to see 2 guys. And as for Conor Benn, he had to give away 18 pounds maybe. He never took a step backwards, and almost 70,000 fans, British fans, are still the best, no doubt about it. Great night of boxing.
That will be remembered for years. The highly anticipated showdown between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn lived up to every ounce of its hype, delivering a breathtaking display of courage, skill, and drama that has left fans and pundits buzzing. Legendary announcer Michael Buffer was visibly electrified after the final bell, hailing the bout as one of the most thrilling matchups in recent memory. He was captivated by the contrast in styles, Eubank's technical precision clashing with Benn's fearless aggression. Despite being nearly 18 pounds lighter, Benn charged forward with the heart of a warrior, refusing to be intimidated. Buffer also praised the British fans, calling them the best in the world.
Over the moon, absolutely over the moon. To see Chris get his hand raised, and it's been a difficult camp, it's been a difficult time. I think everyone's seen the pictures, everyone's seen the stories, everyone's seen what he's had to go through. Fair play to Conor Benn because he was phenomenal as well tonight.
As nearly 70,000 packed the arena in an atmosphere that screamed classic. It was a night that reminded everyone why boxing remains one of the most revered and emotional sports. With the passion, drama, and sheer intensity on display, fans are already clamoring for a rematch that now feels inevitable. Promoter Ben Shalom echoed Buffer's sentiments, calling Eubank's hard-fought victory the culmination of a tumultuous and challenging training camp. Despite the hurdles leading up to the bout, Eubank delivered when it mattered most. Shalom was also quick to give credit to Conor Benn, who pushed Eubank to his absolute limits and showcased immense resilience and skill. Both men...
A really good fight. I think it was a lot closer than what it was. Commend Conor Benn immensely because he put on an amazing performance. Remember, he's a welterweight. Never really boxed at world-class level at 160 or around there. Chris has more experience on the world scene than Conor has. Conor did himself proud. I think the right man
left everything in the ring, creating a spectacle that will be talked about for years. Eddie Hearn agreed, labeling the bout as one of the most thrilling and emotionally charged contests in recent boxing history. With the rivalry now reaching a boiling point, Shalom believes this was just the beginning, a prelude to a saga that will define this generation of British boxing. Veteran analyst Johnny Nelson offered a more technical and balanced perspective. He acknowledged that the fight was much closer than the judges' scorecards suggested and gave Benn full credit for stepping up to the 160-pound division, a weight class foreign to him. Benn's determination, resilience, and surprising technical polish earned Nelson's respect. Still, he was clear that Eubank's world-class experience, superior conditioning...
It was an amazing fight. I think Benn's a great fighter. They're all a great fighter, and I think that was one of the best British boxing fights of all time, for sure, and maybe just in general.
And calm composure under pressure were the decisive factors. Nelson emphasized that while Benn fought bravely and showed tremendous heart, it was Eubank's tactical awareness and ring IQ that sealed the win. The fight reinforced Eubank's status as the more seasoned and mentally tough competitor. Despite the closeness of the battle, Nelson had no doubt that Eubank was the rightful victor. However, not everyone was ready to praise Benn's effort. Ryan Garcia took a much harsher stance, dismissing attempts to romanticize the bout as a classic. According to Garcia, the only remarkable aspect of the night was Chris Eubank Jr.'s cold-blooded domination. He argued that Eubank didn't just win. He dismantled Benn, exposed the vast gap in class, and made it clear that Benn wasn't ready for the sport's elite tier. Garcia criticized what he called fluff commentary from others trying to sugarcoat Benn's performance. In his view,
Conor wants it next. Eddie was talking about maybe going down in weight. I think that if they want to get it on, they do it again, in 6 months' time.
The fight wasn't a competitive war, but a calculated dismantling. Eubank was a step ahead from the opening bell, breaking Benn's rhythm and exploiting every weakness. For Garcia, the night was less about celebration and more about a reality check. That Conor Benn doesn't belong in the same ring as the best. Meanwhile, Sky Sports' Adam Smith looked ahead, stating that both fighters are now clearly on a collision course for a monumental rematch. He praised Eubank for his composure, resilience, and ability to rise above adversity, reaffirming his place among the sport's elite. but he also noted Benn's unrelenting hunger for redemption. According to Smith, Benn sees this loss not as a defeat, but as a stepping stone towards something greater. Smith believes the next chapter is inevitable and could unfold within 6 months. This rematch wouldn't just be about pride, it would be about legacy. Eubank will look to cement his dominance even further, while Benn will be out to prove the first fight was a mere anomaly. The stakes couldn't be higher. As the dust settles, one thing is clear: this rivalry has only just begun. Fans can expect fireworks when these two meet again, a clash that promises to be even more explosive than the first. Until then, boxing purists and casual fans alike will be watching closely as both fighters prepare for what could become one of the defining rematches in British boxing history.